Bird, 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 bird. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Yeah! Ron Babe was right. Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry. I just can't believe it. I'm T-minus 5 weeks. T-minus 5 weeks. Actually, T-minus 4 weeks from the start of my trip to go all the way out to Sacramento, California and pick up my 4-wheel camper. Well, that's exciting. So after that, no more motels for me. Anyway, my Patreon patrons, I always thank them first and foremost. They are my oldest sponsor, but my title sponsor on X Maps. They're going to help make that trip all the way to Sacramento enjoyable because I'm going to find places to stay, places to stop, places to walk the dogs. I could find anything. I mean, anything on X. You could find anything that you want. You want to golf. You want to. No, I wouldn't golf. Nobody golfs, really. Do they? Does anybody listen to this show golf? If you golf and you're an avid bird hunter, write me because I'd love to have you on the show and check your sanity. But I would not check your sanity for you having OnX on your phone because that is sane. That's a sane move. Pike gear on your legs, pike gear on your back, pike gear on your feet. That's a sane move. They have everything you could buy. Well, you know what? I'm gonna slow my roll right there because this episode you're going to listen to is with Brent Pike, my buddy who started Pike Gear now, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. So, yeah, you'll hear all about that and all the new stuff. It's always something. I love it. I was just down at Boss Shot Shells. Now, actually, I went down there to use their parking lot for a park-in ride because I went with my editor and my videographer and my webmaster and my friend, Matt, and we went up to toward Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we filmed and recorded another episode of Behind the Dog, which I know you guys know about now, BehindTheDogFilms.com. But I called up Brandon, and that's the owner of Boss Shot Shells, and I said, Brandon, is it okay if I leave a truck there overnight because we're going to carpool up to Wisconsin? He said, absolutely. And I said, is it okay if we pick up some shotgun shells while we're there? Absolutely. So I'm ready to go for this season. Got a fresh case of 16-gauge number 7 Boss Shot Shells. That's going to cover me for everything from quail all the way to pheasant. Number 7 Boss 16. I think Matt's got some number 720, which I'm going to take a couple handfuls and give them to my daughter because she's going to be shooting a 20-gauge. I bet you everybody on my trip will be shooting Boss. I bet you're going to be shooting Boss this year, too. There's no reason not to. Let's just get ahead of it. Shoot the best non-tox shell you can possibly find at the best price, actually, that you can possibly find. Walton's has the best of everything you can find to make the whole Walton's kitchen's coming with me to North Dakota. Literally. You know when you say I'm taking everything but the kitchen sink because where we go, they have a kitchen sink? I am going to bring out Walton spices, and I'm going to stock the cupboards with Walton spices, and I'm going to bring out my vacuum sealer. That's right. Do you travel with? I don't know. Back in the day, I used to have a little food saver vacuum sealer, and it changed the game when we'd come back with all of our pheasants from South Dakota. And I'm doing that this year because a lot of times we just put them in baggies, and I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than looking in the freezer and going, oh. So look at their vacuum sealer for this. I would. Just got me a brand new gunner kennel. Now you think, come on, Ryan, you must have a half a dozen of them. Well, I do. I've got mediums and smalls and larges. But I asked Addison if he could swing me a deal, and because my new truck is like slate gray, so I got the slate gray. Yeah, the slate gray gunner. Yeah, it's a little okay. Didn't need to, but I didn't want to clash. So now I've got the right color kennel wherever I go, and a new food crate for the road, the small food crate, and I got a new food scoop, which I figured out like by pouring in my scoops. Like, oh, now I get it. I just scoop, look, shake it out, put a little more in, and boom, I got my food quantities ready to go. I'm ready. I'm not packed. I mean, I've got like 4 weeks before I leave, but I got to squeeze in another trip, 1,000 miles in the other direction to go see my grandsons. So I really only have a couple weeks to pack for this thing. I'm going to have everything. I'll have my Garmin collars charged up. I'm going to have my new 300i. I'm going to have the SOS. I'm going to have I'm going to have everything. I'm going to be ready this year with my Garmin. Everything's going to be charged up. I'm kind of like I told you my favorite one is the 550 Plus because it's so simple and it's so basic. But I think I'm going to get into a little data this year. I'm going to kind of track how far each dog goes and figure out, is that why I don't find as many birds as my buddies? Probably. So, but the proof will be right there when I download that to the Garmin Connect app. So, hey, a little looking in the mirror isn't going to hurt once in a while. And if you're looking for Garmin products, you know where to look. You go to W Hunting Supply, period. Do not go to any other place. You get your unit. You're not going to get them cheaper anywhere else. No one's going to sell Garmin products cheaper. That's MSRP price. You can't find it, okay? So if you're going to buy anything to put around your dog's neck, you go to W Hunting Supply. And there's other things, too. They don't all go around their neck. And please, don't call up and ask if they have a belly band, okay? People take the neck collar and put it around the belly. That's an entirely personal decision. But they are not going to start making bigger collars on Garmin units to put around your dog's belly, okay? So just deal with that. I told you once I get to Sacramento, I am four-wheel campering it all the way. But there's going to be more stuff inside. I just can't wait to start showing you guys and girls what this four-wheel camper is going to do. It's going to be a game changer. I only wish that I started this podcast 20 years ago and that I got my four-wheel camper 20 years ago because I'd have been off the grid. I would have saved money on motels and stress and pulling over and say, hey, do you have a pet policy? Okay, no, I got to lock my dogs up. No, me and the dogs are going to sleep under one roof, under one united ceiling with LED lights and canopies and refrigerator and, I just can't wait. And it's just big enough for me and maybe one friend. And, who knows? Who knows who that'll be? Probably Roof. Although he says he's sleeping in a motel no matter what. We're going to be shooting some Mossberg shotguns this year. I should have them in hand before the season. I'm probably going to shoot the Reserve because that's their premier break-open gun. But I'm going to get an auto loader. I'm going to get one of their auto loaders. Even though I'm not an auto loader fan, because at some point I always fumble with it. But the Mossberg is simple, intuitive, and it's actually the Mossberg company is the same age as Purina. So anybody who's been making guns that long or making dog food that long, you got to trust them. You got to. I don't feed anything else but. In fact, when I went up to kennels up there in Wisconsin this weekend, I kind of said off microphone, now, what do you guys feed your dogs? Purina Pro Plan. I kind of figured that, but you got to ask. You don't want to just assume that everybody's that smart. And you know what I saw when I was there at the kennel? Yeah, I saw canine athlete, wilderness athlete. Yeah, canine athlete, hydrate and recover for running your dogs, especially this time of year. All year when you run them, they can use a little help. We all need a little help. I use Wilderness Athlete Hydrate and Recover every day, even though sometimes it's more about hydrate than recovering because some days I don't do anything. But I love it. It's my go-to. It's my dog's go-to. I told you last week, Jack is back. That's right. And so don't hesitate. He who hesitates or she who hesitates is lost and will not have a pair of Gumleaf boots for this fall. Go to Gumleaf USA, see if they've got your size. I know they do right now, and I know they got your style, whatever one you want. But I wouldn't be asking for this for a Halloween present or a Thanksgiving present or a Christmas present. That's not the time to get your Gumleaf boots. Yesterday was the time to get your Gumleaf boots. Yesterday was also the time you should have already had the Upland Institute and been watching it and understanding like the whole process to training a dog. There's a process to it. You can't watch a YouTube clip without knowing what you did before that and before that and before that. It's a process. It starts, it doesn't have to start at 8 weeks, but it can. And we're going to show you what to do with that new pup or what to do with your older dog. You go to Upland Institute, the Foundations and Fundamental course, everybody could use that, would find a little tidbit worth it. Better than going to a seminar and just listening. You can watch it over and over. You can put it on an app on your phone. And when you get your next dog, you're going to be ready to have that dog trained. It feels so good to have a trained dog. Now, that's not going to make your dog hunt better. That's genetics. But, God, it makes it more pleasurable when they listen, when they come when called, when they handle in the field, when they do anything. And, that's it. Okay. Don't forget the HDP store. Do not forget BehindTheDogFilms.com. And do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for the Hunting Dog Podcast. You're going to be getting weekly views of the hunting mother effers. See, I covered that up a little bit in case your kids are with you in the car. The HMF. And we're going to be filming a new HMF when we're in North Dakota this year. It's like a daily blog video of what we do every day out there on our hunting trips. That's up there, and eventually, Behind the Dog Films segments will be up there. But the only way to get an entire episode is to buy it through Hunting Dog. See, almost screwed that up, and I am not re-recording this intro. I'm sorry. I already took up 11 minutes of your time, and I'm not going to make it longer the next time. Just go to BehindTheDogFilms.com. You absolutely will learn something every episode you watch. Every episode, you're going to learn something about the top-tier breeders in this country that we rely on to get our dogs from, okay? I did not say the best. There's no way to quantify the best. But top tier is top tier, and that's what you're going to learn. And some top-tier training. Like we have the whiskey water, like the dog that we had to take through. And that dog's a duck hunting dog now, and it didn't really want to swim when it started out. Was it maturity? We don't know. Was it us? Our process? I think that helped. There's so much stuff to check out. I'm so excited. And again, my patrons, we had a great Zoom room last Thursday. I told them I had to hold it down to 2 hours, and of course it went to 2.5. But we talked about everything from people looking for new dogs, new breeds. We get a lot of interjection from a lot of people that have a lot of dog experience. It's just great conversations. That alone, besides the discounts you get on things like Pike Gear and Waltons and Gunner Kennels and Canine Athlete and all those things you get as a patron, you get the Zoom room and you get the extra video content that I sent to you. And every once in a while when Tyler Webster and I can get our shit together, you're going to get our little sidebar conversations about what's happening, what's not happening, what we're doing. That's fun. That's always fun. We'll get one of them out this month. We were a little lax last month. I apologize, but that's okay. It's still the place to be. So I really appreciate, and we had a nice bump in patrons, and a handful of those came onto the new Zoom room. Yeah, it was, what a week. What a week. I'm heading out on the road Tuesday. Be back the following Tuesday. I'm going to try a scheduled release of next Sunday's podcast. So, bear with me on that one. I'm not really good at doing all that stuff on the backside. But anyway, enjoy this episode. Me and Brent catching up, talking a little gear and a lot of dogs and a lot of laughs and a lot of just what we do. We just talk. We just talk, just like all of us. We talk about hunting because we talk about hunting when it is hunting season. We talk about hunting when it isn't hunting season. That's all we do. So we talk about dogs and hunting. That's it. I love you guys. I love you girls. And I love you patrons more. I mean, we don't need a script, Brent.
No, we've been doing this even before Pike Year.
For those of you who don't know what the heck we're talking about, I'm over at Pike Gear
international headquarters.
Yes.
Are you selling international yet?
I mean, Canada.
Are
I actually got a guy from
Good enough.
from Ireland that wants to buy some of our Tongass pants for big game hunting.
See?
We're getting
See?
lots of guys that are starting to realize the benefits of having a more durable mountain pant as opposed to just wearing the super ultra lightweight stuff that's it's not really durable. These
Right.
guys are crawling on their hands and knees. It's nice to have something that's got a little bit more durability.
So would that
to
be
it.
like a Dakota?
Actually, the Tongass pants are what he's looking
Tongass?
at. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're a little bit lighter, a little bit more breathable.
Yeah.
If it gets cold out, you throw a base layer underneath them, and they're good
Right.
to go. But yeah, we've had a lot. I've gotten a lot of pictures from guys that have used them elk hunting and stuff like that. And
Yeah, it feels good to kind of cross over. It's like when I get like a hound guy that writes me, I'm like, oh, you mean a hound guy listens to my bird dog podcast?
For sure.
And you get like somebody like, yeah, I did make something pretty good.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, you kind of not changing things up. What would you call
Yeah,
it?
modifying, changing.
Modifying, yeah.
Yep. So we've had a lot of guys ask. For full zips and for snap down shirts and such. I mean, we did. I was telling Ron earlier. The reason why we started out with the quarter zip is honestly for cost reasons. I mean, when you do a quarter zip, you only need to have one zipper size
Right.
To fit all the different sizes. Now, when you go to like a full zip jacket, now you got to have
Certain length.
Yeah, exactly. We got like 3 different zipper lengths for the center zipper. And as we grow, we're able to afford to do some of those cool things, and we're trying to listen to what our customers are asking for, and so we went with the Tongass pullover is no more, and we went to a Tongass. We're going to call it the Tongass Nomad, which will be a full zip Tongass jacket. Same material,
Yeah.
ultra lightweight, very packable. We'll have it in blaze orange, gray, and green. And then we're going to be doing the Kiowa shirt in a snap front.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's pretty cool. It's with the two zippered pockets inside, feather light, and it looks nice enough. Like you said, you can wear it to a business casual meeting. I mean, it's a super nice looking shirt. We'll have it in gray and orange to start out with, and we'll probably add some more colors next year on that stuff as well.
Do I get to walk out with any of that stuff today?
We get to you do get to walk out with the new B2 game bag.
That's okay. For all of those of you who said, "Oh yeah," except, and we've talked about it on podcasts, when you made that your first vest,
Yep.
it was. Why else would you make anything except what you wanted, what you feel is right for you?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's
Being a grouse hunter, quail hunter, you had a lot of people say, "Sir, you could stack some more birds in there," but they always said that, "Why don't you have the game bag bigger?"
Yeah. So we did. We doubled
So
the
you
size.
listened to the customers.
We did again. Listen to customers.
And that I'm going home with today.
You absolutely are.
It'll go with me when I take off after Labor Day for the month of September. I'll let you know how. Well, I won't have a problem putting the amount of birds as I shoot in one of those. I know, but I will change over because I also like peeling off a layer and having a room without unzipping things. Just stuff a T-shirt or stuff a long sleeve T-shirt in there. Or if it looks a little rainy, I could take, rain jacket and fold it and still have room for the birds.
And I think that was kind of the biggest downfall of the other jacket. The game bag itself was an appropriate size.
Big enough for game.
Yes, but if you put a jacket in the back zippered pouch, it took up some of that space in the game bag, and then you could put a couple grouse in there. I mean, if you didn't have anything in there, you can put 5 grouse in there, no problem. You can put 3 or 4 rooster pheasants in there, but let's face it, when we're out west and sometimes we're taking some big walks, we carry extra water.
I'll go grab an extra whatever, and that goes I've never been a fan of yours or anybody's having water on the side. Mm-hmm. Now I've done it, but for some reason it's just I feel like I'm wearing a 6-gun or something, and so I always take your water bottles and I put them in my vest.
Yeah,
of course they get all bloody. It's okay,
and they bounce around.
That's on me.
Yeah,
And sometimes they fall out when they're empty, and I lose them, and I need another one. But the fact that I've got that size now back there, I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
Brent, you finally got her.
Well, like I said, we do our best to listen to what customers are asking for in our gear, and I'm out there doing it a lot. I mean, most stuff certainly comes up with an idea that I came up with for what I want for something.
Yeah.
But what I want isn't always what everybody else wants.
Right.
And I feel like this new game bag is a nice compromise between what I want and what everybody else wanted, and I think it's gonna. I mean,
So you listen to the people.
Absolutely.
I was just telling you, I interviewed Addison from Gunner Kennels.
Yep.
Another one of my proud sponsors that I love having, and I said, "Oh, you knocked it out of the park with that smaller food crate." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "I like the big food crate," but he says we immediately got customers saying half that size, and he literally took a Sawzall, cut it in half, and went to the engineering department and says, "Make one this size," because the customer wants it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean the customer. You got to listen to your customers, and I think that we've done a good job of listening to our customers over the years and giving them what they want, and we encourage people to tell us what they want, and I mean there's a few things out there that people
There's things you can't do. You
for
can't
sure.
do-
Yeah.
You can't do a one-off. You can't do a size 56 this year.
Right. Right.
I don't think a guy with a 56 is doing much hunting anyway.
Right.
So
it is funny that we get people to say, "Well, why can't you just make me one like that?" I'm like, because it's the same reason why you can't.
well, I just saw what you're going on in the building here in your office.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a sewing table out there with patterns. It's a lot of labor to just do a prototype.
For sure.
Let alone something you're going to sell to somebody
For that right.
that they expect to last for a long time.
Ab-
Like, look, we're still working on the stitching.
Right.
know?
Right. It's doing stuff, one off is extremely, it's expensive doing it, 100 off, 1,000
Right,
off in the
right.
States, but doing one off, it's unfortunately just, not within our realm. Hope maybe at some point in time we'll be able to do that for folks. I mean, I would love to be able to have like a custom shop where, a guy who's, 6'8" and
Or Randy wants a one pant leg pair of pants.
absolutely,
You'll
for
do it
sure.
for him.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Little
Give a little
culottes.
knicker on one side
Little
and
knicker on one
yeah.
side. So, what is there anything else you were telling
Well,
me
we got
about?
the new
Nothing?
GPS holster.
That's what it
That is really sweet. I think that's going to be a game changer. It's a we've made the Kydex ones in the past, and they were nice and they worked really well, but they're very labor intensive to make. So I worked with a local engineering firm, and we actually did a 3D imaged print of the 200i, 300i Garmin holster, and have actually got it. And now we've got an injection molded holster that we should have in probably about 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
That comes with a nice tether. It's easy to put in there. It's made up of polycarbonate, so it's good down to like -5 degrees and up to like 180 degrees. So it's not going to melt. It's not going to crack. It's not going to break.
You sit on it or lean on it.
Yeah,
You're not gonna go,
yeah, exactly, and it's really cool. I'm super excited about that. I mean, that's something that we've struggled with, and we never even really advertised we had them. We just put them on the website, and they'd be gone.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like now we
Does that surprise you when something sells when you're like, eh?
Yeah, something like that kind of. I mean, we had a lot of people asking for them. We tried making them out of fabric and things like that, and they're just kind of gumpy.
Yeah.
They don't fit real well. I mean, this thing. I mean,
So to describe it, it's kind of like those hip iPhone, not hip.
Yeah,
not hipster hip, but a kind of a lock-in, click-in holster. But it's like the kind you put like you put your iPhone.
absolutely, yeah. That's
I see the guys on construction sites. I always thought like, well, they're going to lose their phone, but no, it literally
yeah.
locks in.
Yeah, it locks in, and then we've got the tether on there as well. So, like, say you're bumbling around and you don't actually get it into the holster correctly. It's not or you knock it out, you fall down, and
you're not dropping.
You're not dropping it, and it's going to be sweet. And the only problem with doing the injection molded is you have to order a lot of them. But the cost savings is pretty significant on it. So we can actually sell this new one, even though the R&D is super expensive on it to
Right.
build it like doing the one-off thing. The first one's going to cost you $20,000.
Yeah.
After that,
We'll get down to $29.99 eventually.
that would be nice. We're going to start out $49.95, but with the tether and stuff, we don't make the tethers. The tethers we buy on Amazon, and they're like $4 a piece. So I mean they're not cheap to do that, but. To me, it's like it's that added security and being able to have that on there.
I've lost one receiver.
I have too.
And not only do you feel like you lost your cell phone, right? It's like because like the dogs I hunt with now, probably not going to lose them. Probably not going to lose my Broncos or my wire-haired Vizsla. I've hunted with you and your dogs. You could lose, what was her name?
Morgan.
Like, you don't want to lose that receipt, that transfer.
No.
Because you got to know where Morgan's
Oh, yeah. Well, she's dead now. but yes, that dog, towards the end, she couldn't hear. Before that, she didn't listen. So
Yeah, when she got old, she couldn't hear. When she was younger, she wouldn't hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with that damn dog is you just had to follow her though because she always found birds.
Right.
You know, so it's just like if she goes that way, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna follow her because you know she's smarter than I am when it comes to finding birds.
And you know, if you're trying to get a meal, that's important. But when you're on a walk, you're like, hey, let's, like when we're on the island,
Yes.
it's so like when you're okay because it's your dog. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go. There's probably there's
Yeah.
birds there when we
Yeah.
got there, but I'm chasing you through the woods,
Oh.
and that's not the path we were on.
No,
Because
it's
the dogs don't stick to the path.
it's awful when you're with. It's fine when you're like you said when you're by yourself.
Right.
But when you're with a group of guys and like, hey, we need to go east to west.
Right.
And
We're gonna work our way with the wind.
yes, and then the next thing you know, you got your 8-hole dog that's 500 yards off to the right.
north oh yeah, me and Travis were both going like, come on, we were going this way.
Yeah.
And she wasn't having it.
Yeah, and you know, I think at that point she was starting to lose her hearing a little bit. I didn't really know it at that point. The next fall, first time I went out hunting with her, I'm like, this dog can't hear me.
It wasn't just the independence.
It wasn't just the independence. Because usually, I mean, I just give her a little nick on the e-collar and she'd turn and she'd come with me.
Yeah.
But that day, I mean, she was just...
But, you know, because obviously we're going to make fun of our dogs. It's the fact that it's not like she knew there was a grouse 500 yards away.
Yeah.
It just happened to be, she liked to go take her runs.
Yeah.
And then it led her into an area we hadn't been to or you hadn't been to. So it's not like a brag dog, right? Because there probably was a bird 500 yards in front of us.
Probably.
As opposed to 500
for
yards.
sure, yeah.
In the direction we had no idea, going up a cliff.
Yep.
And over deadfalls and through a swamp. And thank God those grouse held.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're in such shit tangle you can't hit them anyway.
Yes.
Grouse are stupid.
Yeah,
honestly,
they're...
think about it.
Yeah, that's why I like killing them so much.
Well, when you get one, it feels like something.
It does, for sure.
I've always, there was years when I first got here, but there was a lot more grouse around. You know, we'd go out in 2-hour morning, me and Jeff Peterman, and we'd have 15, 20 flushes, right? And we'd both get a couple birds.
Yeah.
Now, unless you're in a really good spot, it's a chore to get a couple birds sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, similar to you've been hunting longer than I have, but when I started 20-some years ago, I could, live in Grand Haven. I could drive north of you by 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I could go out and flush, 2 to 3 grouse an hour.
Yeah.
Now, if I go, there's either 0 or 1 bird in those spots.
Yeah.
And I got to go another half an hour north to get to that 2 to 3.
And then there might be more people.
Well, there's more people. I mean, it's unfortunate that that grouse demarcation line is moved north because they just haven't done any cutting down in that Manistee National Forest. I think
they're starting.
They are for sure. I think we're going to have a conversation with Ben Jones. You and I will be on that call the end of August here for RGS, and we can talk a little bit more about that zone aspen project.
What are you doing right now too? I know you got the new T-shirt.
Yeah, so we're doing the Dog Days of Summer. I think they'll be launching that here probably next week. So when this podcast goes live, they'll have.
And then RGS members get a crossover discount.
Yes. I don't even remember honestly what the whole thing is about. I just say yes. Whenever conservation groups call, I try to say yes. We just became a corporate sponsor for Pheasants Forever as well. Did you? Yeah. Yep, just signed the paperwork yesterday, and so that's pretty exciting news for us, and we're moving forward with that. And
so something tells me more booth space at Pheasant Fest.
We're gonna have another 20 by 20 booth this year, so it's like a half an aisle type of thing, and it's.
I don't think we're gonna. Are you gonna be in the Bird Dog Alley side of things? Or
no, I think we're closer to like the front of the build or front of the front entrance. Okay. I think is kind of where we're at. I think you're in the same area.
No, I'm over by Bird Dog Alley.
Okay.
And then that was the only place we could get booths because I have this 4-wheel camper that I'm getting, and they just bought, I think, 6 or 8 booth spots.
Oh, nice.
And what we're gonna do is take the new camper on my truck, and another guy from Bozeman, which will be a good connection for us to both meet when we're there.
Absolutely.
We love Montana. So we're gonna angle park both trucks in there and show the camper off on our trucks. And then the trucks will stay in there all weekend, kind of like the public lands bus
nice,
does.
Yeah.
So they got us over there by Bird Dog Alley somewhere, and Luke's working on that.
Very
for
cool.
us. But
they're great partners to work with. I mean, it's just
working with Luke is is okay. We'll find a spot.
Yeah, that's. I
We'll
mean,
move it around.
they're like what I am with conservation with their sponsors. Like, we'll make something work. I
Right.
mean, they're constantly trying to find a way to say yes.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I like working with those guys, and
I do too.
they understand that it's a business for us. I mean, yeah, I'm passionate about conservation, but if I can't sell stuff and make any money, I can't afford to do conservation.
You can't
work.
put money back into conservation.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's
So
what do they call it? Is that a catch-22 or is it the opposite of a catch-22?
I think it's the opposite of
I wish we were smarter.
I know, me too. I wish I was smart at a lot of
We need
things.
a producer. We need a producer. What's the new pooch like?
She's turned out to be a pretty decent bird dog. I mean, she really runs nice, and she's fast, and she's classy, and it's just been tough the last couple of years. We just have not had great bird numbers in a lot of places I've been to. Our traditional spots in Oklahoma have been slow. It looks like this year could be better. They had some good
They had
timely
some
rains.
rains.
Yep. Last year in Michigan, the grouse hunting was not great. When we went to Montana in September, we went to the wrong area of the state, and we went to the southeastern part, and we just struggled. Then we went over to Bozeman area and hunted huns.
Not that much there.
No,
Is there?
and we hunted all day for like 2 coveys of huns, and they looked like they'd been hunted about 55 times too, because they were just just flushing wild. I mean, no reason for them to flush, but they were just going out wild on us, and
I mean, that's part of like the journey of being a hunter. Yeah, every season's not going to be a trout pond filled with trout that want to bite your corn kernel.
Right. I mean, that's.
But you always like to have one trip a year be like, oh, at least I had that one.
We had a good trip to Arizona, so we went down to
that's right,
Arizona
you
in
went there.
January, and we killed some Mearns quail and some scalies and some gambles, and
With like periodic birds.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just one good day.
No,
It
no,
was
we
consistent.
we consistently had, the day we did the desert quail was a epic day. I mean, we had we had 3 groups that we split, 3 groups of 3 that we split into, 2 groups of 4. I'm sorry, that we split into, and I crap you not. I mean, I think we flushed 60 coveys between
You're
the
kidding.
two. It was a friend of a friend that brought us to this spot, and it was, and we got typically those desert birds are not always, they don't always play fair with the dogs.
Right. It's the Mearns are the ones that are nice, the nicer area, the nicer bird, and the scalies are. Is it the scalies?
Scalies and gambles.
And
Yeah,
gambles.
and they were overlapped, so we were killing them both on the same walk. So that was pretty cool. They behaved as best as they can behave. I'm not saying
Well,
that
they weren't completely wily.
No, we had one covey that it must have had 100 birds in it. We couldn't get.
I've never seen that.
It was. I explained it to people. It sounds like a helicopter taking off. It's like. I mean, it's just
Because it's such a long,
and it's just so many birds. You're
like
like,
an
"Oh."
extended grouse flight.
Yes, yeah, it's crazy. It was
And the
crazy.
noise just keeps ramping up.
Yes.
As more bird wings
Yeah,
come in.
and quite frankly, the Mearns quail that we got into, at that point they'd been hunted for a while. I think Tyler's down
Some
there.
friends of ours were there,
exactly, lots, and it's a pretty small area that those birds inhabit in Arizona, and so they get hunted a lot, and the first walk we had, my dog Libby had an amazing find on a nice big covey, and I think it was probably 2 coveys. It was like 18 birds. The guy we were with is a local guy, again a friend of a friend,
Right.
and he said, I've never seen a covey that big in my life, and and we got back and we were talking. It's like, it's probably 2, maybe even 3 coveys.
That happens with huns out west. Too.
Right.
It was it's huge, and I remember Justin right off the bat telling me one time, he was like, they only get so big, and then they group up. And
Yes.
all of a sudden, you're seeing 30. He says that could be 2 or 3 families.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's.
What did you do for, like, I've been invited by, quite a few people to go to Arizona, from patrons to Tyler to you to, I've stayed away from it not because I'm the guy that has to hunt with my dog.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind hunting with somebody else's dog because mine won't embarrass me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like just the trip and the getting down there. And then I keep thinking of like the boots, and I hear about the cactus, and like, worth it?
It was. I mean, I think we're going to go back again this year. I don't know if we're going to go to
worth it.
Arizona,
Okay.
but we might go to New Mexico or something. I mean, it's worth it because January around here sucks, right?
Yeah.
And I always like adventures. I mean, even if you're not.
See, that's what I like. Going somewhere I haven't hunted. I don't care about a species I haven't hunted. I like going somewhere I haven't hunted, so that would be my input.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have much problem with the cactus. Just the rocks is what was the problem in the dog's
Really?
feet. It's just, I mean, I made the mistake of one run. I'm like, oh, this stuff looks okay, and didn't boot a dog, and of course the dog blows a pad, and it's like I was telling who was I talking to last week? I was talking to somebody, and I said the deal with these dogs is you just boot them. I mean, unless you've been, hunting them on hard terrain for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
If you're coming from Michigan or any place in the Midwest, our ground is soft. It's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, just put boot, because once they blow a pad, as you know, it's... You're fighting an uphill battle. I mean, the dogs are tough. You put some tough foot on them, and you can keep running them and stuff like that. But I mean, you feel bad. It's like when you get a blister, right?
Yeah, I don't want to go out with my foot's hurt.
Right.
Dogs,
So
I know dogs don't care about the pain. They would walk the pads off their feet
for sure.
But yeah, that's a little. See, I had this picture of like constantly pulling cactus squills out of my butt, my knees, my arm, the dog.
We didn't find much cactus. I mean, where we were hunting, the Mearns, I didn't see any cactus per se.
So just rocky.
Just rocky, because and quite honestly, to me, the desert quail is much easier walking than the Mearns quail, because the Mearns quail at that point in the season had been pushed a lot from and I'm just saying this from what guys have told me. I'm not a Mearns quail expert, so whatever I say here, don't hold it against me in a court of law. But they say because they've been hunted, they get pushed up in these little fingers and in the draws of these canyons, and so you're walking on the sides of these freaking hills,
right?
And it's just, I mean, you're sidestepping the whole time.
So what's the rocky?
Everything's just rocky. It's just.
But it's not.
It's not straight vertical, but I mean, a lot of times, you're walking at I don't know, what is that, a 25% incline or something like that. I mean, you're so you got one leg that's, 6 inches above the other, and you're kind of shuffling, and, I mean, good mountain boots are an absolute must for that type of stuff, and again, it's just all that rocky stuff, and it just wreaks havoc on those dogs' feet.
Did you just put did you use those Lewis boots, or
I've tried those Lewis boots.
Making them out of the bicycle inner tube?
We did the inner tube. So originally I was running some Cordura boots, which work great in Oklahoma for sandburs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They're, I think dogbooties.com.
They fall apart though.
Oh yeah. I mean, but you pay $150 for them.
Right.
So if I go through, 10 boots in a week of hunting.
Way more than that on shotgun
Absolutely,
shells.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I ran those out there, and the dogs literally ran holes in them. That's how tough the ground is out there. Yeah. So this local guy, again, a friend of a friend, said, try these. He hand makes these bicycle tire ones. Mm-hmm. Showed us how to put them on, and gave us a few. And man, that's the ticket. I mean, you just.
The dogs were good with them.
Yeah. I mean, they get used to it.
No dog likes it the first time.
No.
But after you boot them up a second or third day.
And the key with the nice thing with those inner tube tires is their toenails still should hang out just a little bit, so they get a little bit of grip out of them, unlike the regular booties.
See, that's what I remember. I mean, I think this was in Outdoor Life 40 years ago. I remember some pictograph of taking a bicycle inner tube and making a dog boot. I've heard you talk about it. I've heard other people. Never done it.
Yeah.
Not with making a tutorial here on it, but. Do you cut holes for the toenails?
No, so I mean it's a tube, right? So you're you're cutting 6 inches of tube basically
of an inner tube, which is the shape of the tube got anything to do with it? Did it somewhat round or not really?
Yeah, I guess you'd probably want it to have have the. Because we actually have a video on YouTube, and it shows where to cut. And then this guy had like hole punches to make pivot points in them. Because what you want to do is you want to wrap the dog's wrist with like vet wrap. Mm-hmm. And then
just the wrist.
Yep, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah. And then you do a wrap with the duct tape around one flap, and then wrap duct tape around the other flap, and then wrap it up that wrist a little bit more. And they stay on. I mean, when I first did it, I lost a couple here and there, but once I kind of got used to doing it, they worked pretty well.
But what keeps the dog's foot from coming like out the hole in the inner tube?
Well, because it's taped on there. So it just
it can't go back. It
can't go back any further. Yeah.
Because otherwise, I was thinking it would slip up the arm.
No. So
you're all of a sudden he'd be barefoot.
that vet wrap, sticks to the skin pretty, without really pulling out hair and stuff like that, and then the duct tape.
Little prep time.
Yeah, and that's what sucks about it. It's like I don't want to just drop my tailgate and go. Right. So, I mean, dinking around, because then you got to get back to the truck, you got to take the boots off. and then you rotate dogs to the next spot. I mean, because I'm always afraid to leave it.
Wrap on?
You probably could, but I'm always afraid.
Those dogs will eat it.
Absolutely. The next thing you know, you got a bowel obstruction, and it's like.
Yeah, and you wonder, did Blue Pearl put in a surgery center in New Mexico or Arizona?
Right.
Because we know that's where we go when we want to spend a lot of money.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder, I'm thinking, like back in the day, Queenie probably would have stopped in the field and ate one off.
Uh-huh.
She would have, but then Bravo, he would, do you ever have a dog that just wouldn't mess with stuff?
Yeah.
It's why can't that be bred into all?
Right.
Other ones, if you left your dog in here, it would either go for that Garmin box,
Yeah.
or that pair of socks,
Yeah.
or pull the vest pocket down,
Yeah.
and be gnawing on it.
Yeah.
For what reason?
Yeah. Even if you had a pile of bones from to chew on.
Exactly. And they just ate breakfast.
Right.
You'd be like, I'm bored. What can I destroy of Dad's?
Yeah, exactly. What's going to piss him off the most? Let's chew on that $400 pair of Schnee's boots over there.
That's what you wear, right?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
I got a pair of Mindel.
I've heard those are nice
year.
boots, yeah.
And boy, I took them to, because I have one bunion that wasn't worked on. I took them to that True Fit.
Oh, Birkenstock place in Muskegon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pick up Birkenstocks.
Hey, I'm not judging. I wear Birkenstocks.
I don't. Okay. But they have a real cobbler,
Uh-huh.
a real boot. And before I even put him out to the test, took him in there and I said, I have a bunion on my left foot, and I marked it on the boot, and he puts it in an overnight stretch.
Yep.
And I'm why didn't I ever think of that before?
Yeah.
Well, probably because I didn't have bunions when I was a kid. And man, I was totally happy with them too. But that that rigid boot, even in North Dakota, I didn't feel like I was wearing ski boots, but I do like that mountain boot.
I do too.
They're kind of, when you first put them on, you kind of feel like clunk, clunk. But then, boy, when you're walking a few hours.
100. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's why I went to them. I ran upland boots for years and would blow through them in a year.
Yeah.
And
Comfy though.
Comfy and light.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Russells or something.
Yep. I had Russells. I had the Danner pronghorns.
Yep.
I've tried them all. I tried the Les Chamoux.
Yeah.
Rubber boots, and I've got bad ankles. And going to a mountaineering boot, I started out with Kenetrex, and I really liked them.
Yeah.
But they're just they're really stiff. The nice thing I like about those too stiff.
Too
Yeah,
stiff.
I mean, I'm a pretty heavy guy, so I can bend those boots pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially you put all your gear on, all that other stuff.
Right.
But I found that Schnee's has flex indexes on their boots.
Okay.
So the Timberline is like a flex of 1. It's still a full mountaineering boot, but it really is flexible.
Right. So you wouldn't wear it going up the side hill sheep hunting, because that's where you want that no flex.
I think that if you were sheep hunting, you'd want something stiffer. So, as a matter of fact, I just bought a pair of Schnee's Beartooths for mountain. We were going to hunt mountain grouse out in Montana, and I felt like I need something that's a little bit
stiffer, maybe?
a little bit stiffer for me, and that's got a flex index of 2.
We're doing boot commercials now. It's great.
Right,
and we don't have a damn boot sponsor.
Exactly. I know they won't even give me a deal on this stuff. I know.
You think Mindel would just take me on and Schnee's would take you on?
I would think. I mean, I bet I've sold 100 pairs of Schnee boots.
Well, you did
minimum.
You did a little demo thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love them. I think they're great. I mean, I tell you what, the thing that I've just got that's been a game changer is these sheep feet. Have you heard of those?
What is
so
that?
it's a custom insole. So they send you a foam box, and you have to have somebody help you, and you sit like we are right here, and
Right.
you put your heel down, and then you have somebody else that presses your toes in and everything like that into the thing.
So you don't do something unnatural with your weight.
Yep,
I mean.
yep. And then you
Okay.
send them that, and then they make these custom insoles for you.
Oh man, they're gonna blow up.
Oh, they're
I
unbelievable.
gotta try because I need them in a lot of shoes.
Oh, I've had plantar fasciitis on and off for the last 15 years, and it came back like on my trip to Arizona last year, and I was just gimping around, and I always wear I've worn these Protalis, I've worn Superfeet, I've worn all kinds of different insoles in my boots, and I'm like, I got to try something different, and I've been wearing these things for about 3 weeks now, and my plantar fasciitis is just about gone.
And it doesn't look like anything fancy.
No, it's not. I mean, it's just
Just the way it's made.
just the way it's custom molded to your foot. I mean, they heat that thing up. When I worked in the ski business back and through college and after college,
Yeah.
I did a lot of custom insole work, so I know actually how this stuff works and
Right.
and why I was too stupid to have this done, a year or two ago is beyond me. I mean, they're not. I mean, they were like, I don't know, $250.
So for the benefit of our listeners, what was it again?
Sheep feet. Sheep
like
feet.
like sheep hunting.
Yeah, sheep hunting. Yep. I mean, it's
Sheep feet.
Sheepfeet.com. Yeah.
Say that 3 times.
Yeah,
fast
sheep
forward.
feet. But no, they're really nice.
How long is
And
it, what's the turnaround?
it was about probably 3-4 weeks, I think. I mean,
Okay.
they send you the kit. So you order it. The kit comes within a
And
week.
you can take it from one boot to the next?
Yeah, so I take these out of my my everyday shoes.
Yeah.
I put them in my workout shoes in the morning.
Yeah.
I take them out, put them in my hunting boots at night. And
No stinky, no mess?
no, I haven't had any problems with smelling or anything. I think probably taking them out helps too.
Helps.
Lets them. I always tell people it's like dry boots are comfortable boots. I mean it's.
And dry boots aren't stinky boots.
Correct. That was actually one thing I was going to do a video on this weekend. I'm going up to the UP to run dogs, and we've all been on trips where your boots get wet, and you don't have boot dryers.
Yep.
And I had an old timer once. He's like, go buy a newspaper. I'm like, all right. And he's like, just lightly crumple it up in there.
Right.
And that. Sure enough, that newspaper. I mean, a couple hours, just change it out every couple hours if you're sitting
I
back.
learned that from my dad back in the 60s because there was no Gore-Tex anything.
Yeah.
But any kind of a Sears work boot would be my play boot, so
Yep.
to speak. Yeah, and I mean, he did that. It's like all those people from the Depression era knew how to. Every farmer, everybody back in the day knew how to do everything.
Yep.
We always put newspaper
Yeah.
on the boots.
Yeah, and it works great.
It isn't a Pete's boot dryer, but I'll tell you what, makes it a lot better the next day.
That's for
You know
sure.
the hard part is find a damn newspaper.
No doubt, right?
Gotta have to go and
Well, that's what all newspapers are good for anymore, anyways.
I
It's
know.
it's just a
starting fires and drying boots.
Yeah, because they're you're getting yesterday's news today.
Well, you said something that made me think about something else with the boot. Oh, the socks. You got socks back in.
We do, yeah. We've got so last year, the company that was making it for us upped their minimum order quantity by like 5-fold. And I'm like, I can't justify it. It'll take me 5 years to sell that many socks. They came back to me this year and said, hey, we can go back to your original minimum order quantity. I'm like, perfect, we're in.
So you're saying it was easier to for them to keep a customer than to find a new one?
It must have been.
Yeah.
Must have been. So yeah, so we've got all our socks. And they've got the no-fly zone built into them. So for people that are in tick areas and stuff like that, I mean that's an area that ticks.
People like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it works. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I need to do a video where I. And I've seen this done before. That's why this isn't any Brent Pike original, but
Right.
they put like a no-fly zone sock or whatever it was in a box. And put it one corner and put a bunch of ticks on it, and those ticks just flee like rats from a ship.
They don't want
They don't want it. Yeah,
It's like a flea collar on a dog.
absolutely. Yep.
Well, if you give me an extra pair, I'll save on flea collar and I'll put it around my dog's neck.
You might want to do that. Yeah, and and nice thing merino wool. It doesn't smell. That's the
Yeah.
other beautiful thing about having those socks is if you're on a trip, especially if you're you're backcountry in it, and you've got limited space and they're super durable, and that merino wool just does not smell.
Yeah, I
anything.
mean, I don't think I have anything that's not merino wool anymore.
I agree. I wear all my underwear when I'm out west. But, I wear some base layer. Early season, I'll wear like we sell some polyester base layers. I like the polyester early season because I think it wicks and dries faster than merino wool does. And it's
I don't. This is going to be like all outdoor. What are we going to call this infomercial today? But when everybody says wick, it drives me nuts because I sweat a lot.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I should be the test pilot for anything that's supposed to wick.
Yeah.
Because I could be wearing a cotton flannel shirt, and believe me, I sweat enough, it wicks.
Yes.
It goes through, but when you say wick, I think it's more the fact that it just dries fast.
Well, that's true because cotton wicks.
Yeah, everything wicks.
Cotton wicks
Unless
really
it's a
well. It just doesn't
hefty
dry
bag.
fast. Yes, that's the.
It doesn't dry fast.
It doesn't dry fast. Yeah, so that's
this stuff dries
that's
faster.
the and the merino wool does not dry as fast as the synthetics do. That's the nice thing with synthetics.
Right.
But I don't want to wear polyester socks.
No. Because I smoke and it could blow up.
That's true too, right?
I don't want to tell you that I've burned a couple holes in my pipe pants.
I'm sure you have. Yes.
Some cigars, like, shit. My brand new truck got a hole right here. Within 2 days.
Shouldn't smoke in your truck.
And as soon as my wife sees it, she's going to skin me.
Oh, yeah. Well, just a letter in the truck.
She feels like just because she writes the check, that it's like her responsibility to monitor everything. It's like, well, isn't it my money?
No. I had an accounting professor in college tell me he said two very profound things I'll never forget. He's like, what's mine is hers and what's hers is hers.
Right, I've heard that one.
And he's like, statistics in accounting are a lot like bikinis. They can show as much or as little as you'd like them to show. Those are two great quotes that I use probably on a weekly basis.
I want to go into sock rabbit hole, so I'll share. Now, we got the sheep feet
Yep.
that we learned from you. I don't know how many people drive this crazy, and this is not about your sock, Smart Wools, or anybody else's sock. I tend to just throw them in the washer and the dryer.
Yep.
And it's like putting on a leotard sometimes.
Really?
I mean, after you wash them enough and dry them enough,
Uh-huh.
and I don't probably put them on tumble.
Well, you can't nuke them.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And when I do laundry, it's all in. Everything I'm wearing goes in one load, and they're in that dryer for an hour.
Yeah.
And then once they're on, they're as comfortable as can be.
Yeah, but getting them.
Putting them on feels, it's like, what's the matter?
Yeah.
You could just. So and I got to get a couple pair from you for this season. All my favorite socks now, I hang dry.
It's a good best practice.
And I'll tell you why. Because when you first get a brand new pair of socks,
Yeah.
it's the best they feel,
like
right?
butter.
It's like, it's like,
Oh yeah.
and that one's on your. They're as dry, they're as fluffy as they'll ever be, right?
Right.
But when you start washing them, they get tighter and they get pilly and whatever. And when you hang dry them, every time you put them on, they're almost like a new sock.
And that's the nice thing about those merino wools. I mean, a lot. I don't like hang drying a lot of stuff because like cotton t-shirts.
I leave it to my wife to hang dry. She hang dries everything. So now all my socks go in her laundry basket. And she's like, really? I got to start hanging your socks? I do it in motels now. If I'm in a motel for a few days,
Yeah.
the pair of socks I came in wearing, I literally hand wash them in the sink, which is way better than washing machine.
Yep, for sure.
You ever wash your socks if you had to somewhere? They're dirty.
Oh yeah.
And then I hang dry them in the motel, and if I'm there, I wouldn't do it for a night over.
Yeah.
Because then I have wet socks in the bag. But I've done it when I'm on an extended stay, and I literally just rotate the socks. Yeah.
I tell you what, I've told people this before. Like changing your socks midday. If you're like out west and you're doing big walks, I'm telling you what. Better yet, socks and boots midday.
Yeah, if you have two pair of boots that you break in, you like.
Yes.
Or let's say I'll use the gum leaf rubber boots in the morning when it's wet.
Yeah.
And they're never uncomfortable when you put them on. But you're right. If you did both, but then if at noon you went to the lace-up boot, then you feel like you got just starting.
Absolutely, it's
just starting.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a mental trick that your mind plays on you. It's got to be part. But it's just amazing. It's just sitting at especially early season when it's hot. Your feet are just all sweaty, and and a lot of times you're walking through. I don't care how waterproof your stuff is.
Something's
getting wet, and you're sweating, and so those socks actually pull that sweat from your leg. They're wicking that moisture down into your boot. Yeah. So switching those boots, and quite frankly, it also gives you a dry pair of boots the next morning too, because a lot of times those boots have that chance to then dry out during the day.
Dry out from sweat.
And
boy, if our dogs could get this deep into the minutia, they'd be better. They just sit around all day, wait for us to feed them.
Right.
They don't do nothing.
Yeah.
Or as Rusty says, they don't do dick. Are you down to 2 dogs?
I got 3. So I've got...
I couldn't remember.
Maddie, who is 11, Libby, who is 8, and then Penny is just turned 3. Yep, she's a new one. Yep. So...
Has Justin been working with them at all? Or
he worked with all of those dogs, yeah. But they're all kind of to the point now where they just need,
They're all collar conditioned. They've all hunted. They all...
Yep.
You gotta... comparison wise, I was talking with somebody the other day, and we were kind of running down memory lane of dogs.
Uh-huh.
Like, do you compare your new pup Penny to the dog in front of her, the dog, or do you? You know
Not
what I mean?
really. I mean, I think
I tend to do that.
I think the older I've gotten, the more, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. You know, not as picky. I guess I've gotten with. You know, I guess I've realized
You're not critiquing it.
I've got far more faults than I originally
Than the
realized.
dog does.
and typically, most of the dog's faults are things that I've know ingrained in them. And you know, for me, it's just hard to really get that Penny dog. This will be the year I really get to judge how good. Yes, I always find that that 3 year mark is. I mean, I've had some dogs. I mean, when she was, so she was born in July. So what is that? So 4 months old. I had her gun broke, and I brought that dog was pointing grouse at 4 months of age. I mean, and I killed grouse over. I mean, it was crazy.
That's
yeah,
young.
yeah, it was really young. And
But then you had a dog too that you said wasn't a fit for you a while back.
So Dave Paul,
Yeah.
your buddy Dave, I gave that dog to Dave, and Dave, I think she just ran a bit too much to him, and he gave it to Mike Mapes at Second
Right.
Chance Bird Dogs,
Yep.
and another guy that I now know has her, and he loves her. He's like, oh, she's a great dog. You know, he hunts a lot of preserves and stuff like that. So I think that
So it would be like judging the dogs you have. It's more like we've been at it long enough to where like going, yeah, that's not a dog I want to put 3 years into.
right, exactly.
But somebody else.
Somebody, yeah, I mean, like that whole Second Chance Bird Dogs, that Mike Mapes kid. You know, I mean, he's such a nice guy and such a. I mean, he does a good job of finding dogs that may not be a fit for you or me.
Right.
And he finds the right home for these dogs and gives them. And most of these dogs.
Yeah, he has done a great job.
He's done a great job with them.
I was talking to somebody in, I think in Oklahoma last spring. I went, and somebody brought up the fact that they knew somebody who got a dog from him, and they're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, this dog world.
Oh, it's small for sure.
But yeah, I mean, just for a Mike Mapes commercial, yeah, that Second Chance Bird Dogs is you know, I know a guy who wrote me this long email the other day. He's like, do you know anybody who like rents out dogs because we're gonna need some dog power? And I almost thought about giving him Mike's. No, Mike's trying to find a home.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
But thought about it. If the guy was based in Michigan, I bet you Mike would love having somebody who was taking a trip and say, "Hey,
give this dog some exposure." Yeah.
But we're not going to put out an Airbnb for dogs yet.
No, I think that's probably not going to happen. You know, but no, he does a great job with those dogs, and you know, again, you know. Just because, you know, like those Mendel boots fit you well, they might not fit me well. The Schnees fit. I mean, you know, I'm under no. I mean, I know what I like, and what I like is, you know, a lot of people don't like what I like.
Right.
You know, oh, your dogs run too much. They're, you know, they're not checking in enough, and I'm like, oh,
it works.
It works for me. I mean, it's, you know, I like that when a dog's, you know, in the grouse woods, and you know, you get the point alarm, and they're 100 yards away, and you know, I like that the anticipation of walking to that dog to me is
that's
something
a total
special.
different than out west when you see it happen.
For sure. Yeah.
Because when we're out west and you're like, oh, there's a dog over there. There's never. I don't know what it is. That's a good point you brought up. It could be a hun or a sharp tail.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like. Sometimes you see it happen before the transmitter goes off, right?
Yeah.
Some of those views we have out there, you know, as long as you're paying attention, on a bird.
Yeah.
You don't need that Garmin to go off, right? But you're right. In the grouse woods, when that, I remember when I got my first beeper, it was a Lovitz.
Uh-huh.
I think
I still run that.
Do you?
Yes.
I got one that's about this big.
Yeah.
You know, and boy, the first time I heard that thing go off, it was like if you had a metal detector and you were looking for Civil War stuff. I was like, why? It was so cool.
It's so cool. Yeah.
To hear that beep and then you still don't see the dog.
Yeah.
And you hear the beep, you still don't see the
Yeah.
dog. And you feel like you're in some kind of a movie.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that is right. You know, beepers in the woods they're almost like unnecessary anywhere else.
I would agree 100%. I mean, I
you
remember
could just have it vibrate.
Yeah.
Because when you're in Oklahoma, how hilly is it when you're in Oklahoma?
It's pretty hilly where we hunt, but I mean, you're almost always up higher than the dog is. So a lot of times you're hunting these draws, and the dogs are down working that bottom,
Right.
and you're up top, and so you'll see it, or or you'll get the point alarm because they're down in a thicket or
So
something
like
like
North
that.
Dakota, you
Yeah.
see them more than you don't.
Absolutely, yeah. I
when
mean,
we're
sometimes they're
grouse
down in a little area that grouse woods. If a dog's more than 15 yards from you, you're not seeing
You're
it a
not
lot.
seeing them anyway.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I know I have lots of buddies that I don't know why you like your dogs out there so far. I like mine. I like to be able to watch them work. I'm like, I like watching my dog work too at times, but it's something.
Yeah, I've never been worried about the distance. Like, the dogs, I mean, Queenie and Bravo, for Broncos, they got out there, and that's not there, that's not out there.
Right.
And then I've had a couple other ones, I'm like, I wish they would. But if they find a bird, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say something. Oh, talking about grouse hunting.
Yeah.
What do you got going this camp's coming up?
So Montana. So we're gonna go out.
No.
Oh.
Aren't you doing
Oh, the
something?
grouse camp over for RGS.
That's it.
Yeah, so that's I think I might screw the dates up, but I think it's September 22nd,
Okay.
23rd, and 24th. It's over in Eagle River, Wisconsin.
Okay.
They're calling it Grouse Camp. It's really cool. I did it last year. I went there and did a little speaker presentation and stuff
okay.
like that. And just kind of gear.
I did that years back.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same.
Same thing. It's really kind of designed for newer people into the grouse woods to
Right.
teach them, some dog stuff, some bird stuff, some habitat
But
stuff.
they hands-on show. too.
Hands-on, show you how to do stuff. It's great. I mean,
So I didn't know that was going.
yeah. I mean, I did one last week and a half ago with Dennis Stakowitz up in
That's
Gwynn.
what I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
up at Aspen Thicket Grouse.
Same kind of thing.
Same kind of thing.
educational?
Yeah, very very similar. Yep, he brought in a bunch of guys to, we did a releasing dog from trap seminar. We did,
Mm-hmm.
again, like an upland gear thing. And I talked a little bit about clothing, but mostly about what I have in my truck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I think as you progress in the game, you realize stuff you need and stuff you don't need.
Right.
I mean, I think when I first started, I had tons of crap that I never used.
You've never hunted with Terry Barons, have you?
No.
The man's a Cabela store. I swear to God, Brent, if you said, "Damn it, I blew a button off this shirt. I wish I had a needle and thread," I swear to God, he'd like, "Hang on." He would open up tackle box B. Here you go.
Here you go. Yeah.
And there might be some spare buttons.
That's what
But
guys
you're
say
right.
about me on that stuff.
You got a lot of.
I keep. Well, I mean, like I got a tire patch kit in there because I freaking ran over a railroad spike when it wasn't a big spike, but it was big enough,
Yeah.
and I'm up in the middle of the UP and I got a flat tire, and I'm like, doggone it.
Well, there ain't no AAA up there.
Correct, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like
I've never carried it. I carried it. Are you talking about the kind you punch?
you punch
plug
in.
into?
Yep, the plugs, and I got a spare air compressor that I keep in the car.
See, I would never do that, but it's.
And I've used that numerous
times.
times.
I'll regret it today.
I've used it numerous times, and not only for myself, but they're small. They just hook up to your car battery, and it's like $60 on Amazon or something like that. A toe strap. Used
strap
that numerous
I've always
times.
had.
The big thing to me is like all the medicine I keep for my dogs.
Right.
The biggest problem I run into when I'm hunting out anywhere is dogs drink something or eat something, they get the
Right.
craps. There's nothing worse than going out to a freaking kennel in the morning with
Oh.
just disaster. I mean, and it happens at least once a year.
It almost makes me want to gag.
Yes,
It's like,
especially when you're in an SUV.
yeah, and I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with that. So that's what you were going over with these new hunters.
Yes.
It's kind of like, besides what a cool bird it is, be a little prepared.
Absolutely. Keep some hemostats. I mean, your dog. I don't care what kind of dog you have. It's going to get into a porcupine at one point, or
Even if it's the ones that nose up into a dead one,
yeah,
they're still going to have
a couple of them.
a few of them
and
in their nose.
and most times you can pull them out with your gloves, but I mean sometimes you get the little small ones, and you gotta pluck them out. I was telling guys like, hey, when you go out west, find out where the vets are. I mean, and maybe even call ahead to a certain area because some vets don't have emergency services, and dogs never get hurt Monday through Friday 9 to 5. It's always Saturday at about 7 p.m. or Sunday.
Or any night.
Yeah, exactly.
Any night, worst case, Saturday night.
Yes.
Because at least Sunday night they'll be open on Monday.
Right. Right. I had a dog one time in the UP run a stick straight through its tongue.
No.
Would not stop bleed. I mean, just profusely bleeding.
Like a total puncture.
A total puncture all the way through. No,
And it didn't go into the mandible?
didn't go into the mandible. Nope. Nope.
Oh, that had to bleed like...
Oh, it bled like crazy.
What did they do?
She gave the dog a sedative, and the sedative slowed the heart rate enough down there that almost stopped all the.
I could see
and then she
that.
actually just dropped a couple drops of super glue in there and poop sealed it up.
Come on.
I swear to God.
I know the tongues heal quick.
Super quick.
And you didn't have a...
I hunted the dog the next day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I had that one that caught its ear on a piece of barbed wire.
Oh, those are the worst.
So I tried the sock trick.
Yeah.
You know, I cut the toe of the sock. It looked like I had a tight, like a babushka nylon, or what do you want to call it, like a skier's hat, you know. And he shook that off. And then we tried taping it and put a sock on it. And I found a vet out in Kansas. He didn't keep the dog calm. He said, I'm going to have to put a couple stitches in it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can just put that silver nitrate on it. And
Yes.
And this was a good enough cut. And it, you know, we only lost the dog for... I'm going down a rabbit hole here, and I think I talked about this on a Zoom room or a podcast once. That vet was that old country school vet, right?
Yeah.
It was a Saturday. It was a Saturday morning it actually happened. And he was open for the morning. The owner of the farmhouse told us where to go. Probably did help that, you know, it was a recommendation. And he charged me $40 to sew up that dog's ear. And he said, you know, if you're it was Cosby, sounded like Crosby, like Bing Crosby, but it was Cosby. If you're at Cosby's farm, he said, they don't have kennels there. And why don't you just let him stay here tonight and then pick him up when you're done hunting? I'm like, well, but that'll be like Sunday. He goes, yeah. He says, I live right in town here. Just let's let him have a rest here. And that way, if it does open up, I can check on him. $40.
Yeah.
And he overnight boarded my dog.
Right. I had a dog get stuck in the armpit out in Oklahoma, and drove over. You know, it was an hour from where we were at. Brought the dog over there. The guy's like, just rinse that out with a garden hose. Because I had stapled it up, and I had it looking just beautiful. By the time we got to the vet, the dog had that thing all, like we talked about earlier, had it all opened up and peeled all that stuff. He's like those armpits. He's like they just don't. He's like you can't really suture them.
Yeah.
He's like it's superficial. He's like it's deep, but
it's skin.
Yeah, and he gave me some of this like silver spray.
Antibiotic is the most important.
He gave me an oral antibiotic, and he gave me this spray. You know, silver is a natural antibacterial. You know, they actually weave it into
silver nitrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this wasn't silver nitrate. This was
that's
just
for nosebleeds.
Yeah, this was actually just silver. Like
Silver.
it was a spray can of silver.
Was it Rust-Oleum?
It looked like it. I swear to God, it looked like it when I'd sprayed on
Never
there.
heard of that.
And I sprayed it in there. And he's like, I need to get some more.
Silver.
Yeah.
Just like
it was something. It was a silver.
Atomized silver.
Yeah. It was crazy, and he's like, just keep hunting that dog. You know, I hunted the dog.
He must have been a houndsman.
He must have been. I brought the dog back to my local.
Got 2 legs. Let him go.
Yeah, I brought the dog back to my local vet, and the vet tech was this young kid, and he was just like mortified that I didn't, get the dog all sutured up and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh my God, look how terrible that wound looks." I'm like, it's healing up. He's like, "Oh, it's never gonna heal properly," and I'm like.
You mean like heal without a scar?
You can't even see the scar of the dog to this day.
Yeah.
You can't even see it to this day. So I mean, they're dogs. They're tough.
I'm a testimony to backwoods veterinary. I mean, I have been into trades. I have cut the bejesus out of my hands, knuckles, palms, wrists, and I'm not. This isn't like I'm a tough guy. I got a job to do. And I'm a small company. I can't be gone for 3 hours and leave a crew. And I would just wrap it up with paper towels, some duct tape, and
a little chainsaw accident a couple weeks ago. I was.
Let's do chainsaw scar.
I got one there. I got one up here. I'm not a good person. Like we were up at my mom's cleaning up some property this spring, and my mom's like, "I want these trees cut down. Let's wait for my brother Jared to get up here." And well, he's more of a chainsaw expert than I am. I'm a little too lackadaisical. No, I didn't. I did this in my house. I didn't have the damn chainsaw running. It was stuck into a little branch. It was just a little electric one, and I'm yanking on it. And I yanked it. It came out and right across my freaking knee. And my neighbor's a nurse, and she's like, "Yeah, you could probably." No? She's like, "You could probably use a couple stitches," but she's like, "I think." She's like, "If you don't care about scarring," I'm like, "I don't care what it looks like."
Right.
I said, "I got too much yard work to do." I want to, So she put a couple stereo strips on, and it was fine.
And dogs are too usually, but it is a scary deal on the road when something does.
Oh yeah.
And I shouldn't even say it's scary if it's serious, but super inconvenient.
That's
so taking those little precautions like the boots.
Yes, that's.
And have you ever hunted vests on your dogs?
I have.
I did for a female once, and it didn't seem to do anything because she was so nipply that the nipples went outside the vest. And
Yeah.
But I know other guys. And they probably don't know it, but they probably saved themselves some vet bills. Maybe.
The thing I've used vests for is like when I'm in South, like you're hunting switchgrass. That grass just cuts their bellies up so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had 3 different dogs that have taken armpit injuries,
Never had one.
and vests have never done anything for any of those things.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think vests do a good job of protecting the skin. I don't really know how much they do for. I mean, you know, the chance. I mean, if a dog took a direct hit to the center, and if they're going that hard, it's going to probably skip off the vest, is my guess, and maybe hit him some other spot. I mean, you know, I'm not against him. I'm just
I'm more like I don't want the inconvenience.
Well, that's
doing it.
Well, and I ran vests before that weren't fit properly, and it ends up wearing the dog's armpits raw. You know,
I did that with a pair of cheap boots one time.
Yeah.
I had a dog. Do all your dogs get their front dew claws? Most of them do.
All mine have, but I mean, I know a lot of guys are kind
Bravo
of.
came from overseas, and they didn't remove front dew claws.
Yeah.
And I threw a boot on him, and it was on him for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And you know that toenail that grows out of that front dew claw, it's kind of like a ram's horn.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while you look down like, oh, I need to cut it.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay attention, and that thing wore itself into his skin.
Oh.
When I took that, and of course he didn't complain.
Yeah.
But I looked at him, I was like, it literally like dug his own. As he was running, that boot just kept working that dew claw in. Oh, it sucked. I felt bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, you know, ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure on some of that stuff. And
when so you take off when for your first trip?
So I take off the 29th of August to.
So you'll miss Labor Day here.
I miss Labor Day here. Yep. So we rented a house out in Montana, and
that's partly because your son's going to school.
My
there.
son goes to school. Yeah, we're probably about. He's in Montana State. We're about 3 hours away from him, so he'll have to drive. I'm actually going to drive into Bozeman to visit with him for a couple days. I got a couple meetings out there, and then drive back to our hunting spot. He'll drive out for the weekend. We'll hunt with him for a little bit, and then the following week, Nick from Nick's.
So you're hauling a dog.
Hauling 3 dogs. Yeah.
Hauling 3.
Yeah, actually 4 dogs. Dave, our camera guy, he's going to fly out there. And I'm going to haul his dog out there because he can't get as much time off.
Did you ever get his dog going to kennel any better?
I don't know that one idiot dog.
I show that video to everybody. Only Dave will get this.
Yeah.
Anyway, then you're gonna do what then?
And then Nick from Nick's Wild Ride is coming out there, and we're gonna hunt with him for a week.
Oh, nice.
And then just kind of
film it.
Yep. So we're gonna hunt all over the state, and try to chase all the species of grouse and hopefully some huns, and
just hope for decent weather because it's early.
It's early, so it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be one of those things that's like get out at first light in the morning. But and as you know, first light always sucks because there's no wind.
Right.
So I mean, Justin's always said he's like in the summertime when you've got limited time, he's like I wait till like at 9 o'clock until even if it's 20 degrees warmer. If
you've got some
air movement. I mean, the dogs have zero when it's dead calm and you drop a feather and it goes straight to the dogs have zero. I mean, they have 1% chance of finding birds because
they got a chance of finding birds if a bird happens to be where they're searching.
Absolutely,
as opposed to them searching for the birds.
Yes,
and getting a gust of wind from 40 yards away and taking them.
Absolutely.
To it. In fact, you always wonder like. When we see the point established, you've seen some long points, right? I mean, we don't see it in the grouse woods as often, but out west, you'd be like, wow, there was 30 yards he pointed. You wonder how long had he been smelling that for 200 yards? Like little bitty particles,
right?
And shit,
right.
Because they don't show it sometimes, but then that last 30, 50 yards, you're like, oh, he's getting birdie.
Yeah.
But maybe they were getting birdie 200 yards early.
Right.
Or
right.
Or maybe I'm fantasizing.
I mean, it depends on the day. I mean, we've seen it.
I just wonder how it works.
Scent is just a crazy thing. I just, I've given up trying to figure it out. I mean, where we hunt in Oklahoma, we'll have days where it's, 70 degrees out and, very little wind and just hot and dry and dogs are finding birds left and right. It rained overnight.
You're like,
you go
oh,
out the
this
next
is
day,
gonna be
it's going to be awesome. Can't find a damn. It's like, what is going on? You think that, so the more I know, the less I know.
Yeah, that's one barroom discussion I probably wouldn't pontificate on.
No.
No,
I just
because
go as often as you can.
Look, Brent, I still have trouble figuring out why when we talk on the phone today, just as I did in 1965 to my girlfriend Karen Berg, how our voice sounds the same on a copper wire. Yeah. How the hell does that work?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't know.
So I don't get
beyond our
dogs.
pay grade, right?
It's above our pay grade.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, design and clothes isn't above your pay grade.
Well, it's definitely above my pay grade, but
you've been around the industry though.
Yeah, I've been around the industry, and I was, lucky enough to kind of run into some of the right people and search the right people out that have been able to, Joe, who you know out in our room out there, does all of our design work, is absolutely amazing. She's been doing this for 30 years. She's, an upland bird hunter. She and her husband both, English.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice having somebody that designed your clothing that actually.
And there's not that many. There's a couple I can think of that the hunters are designing the clothes.
Right. Most of the other places, they're taking input from hunters.
I'm not saying that the owner doesn't hunt. But
you'd be surprised how many companies.
There's probably some.
There's I can name 3 or 4 right now. I won't, but
right.
That or they've been hunting for a few years and they all of a sudden they've got
or you can go back to the gear that we got at Sears when I was a kid. Nobody at Sears hunted. They just called up some clothing company, said we need a vest and we need a pair of pants that look like hunting pants.
Yep.
And we need a shirt. Like, there was no thought.
Right.
There was no thought.
But I mean, you go to Cabela's and, Dunham's and places like that, and you'll see that same stuff that you saw in your Sears catalog 40 years ago. It's and again,
it's orange.
It's orange.
That's it.
And if you're going out hunting for a weekend.
1 day or weekend.
It's perfect. I
Right.
wouldn't recommend buying our gear for, unless you've got money to burn for a weekend. I mean, to find out if you like it or not. If you find out you like it, I think, buying quality dogs and quality gear. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, your dogs. I mean, it's like, we put a lot of time and effort and money into our dogs. I mean.
Yeah, well, I get that with the Upland Institute that we sell. Had a guy the other day, he says, I just want to work on the wool part. I just want to work on wool. I'm like, well, there's a lot to getting to wool.
Right.
Right? But if you're going to be that hunter that does just hunt once a week, it doesn't matter. If you're going to be that hunter's dog that only hunts once in a blue moon, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to kind of make it your life hobby,
right,
then you want the good stuff.
Yep.
And then you would follow the whole course, or you look up who's happy with what gear and everything.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I see you in more magazines all the time lately, by the way.
Well, as we grow, we're trying to expand our reach. I mean, there's a lot of guys that aren't on
Churning
Facebook.
Group didn't jump in, did they?
They have not.
Okay.
They've called.
Another inside joke.
We've had some conversations.
I like to see who picks up on that one.
But what were we talking about?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Just the fact that or if how the clothing's built by hunters and from years of hunting, and if you're gonna take it serious, buy the stuff that's gonna make you happy in the long run.
Buy once, cry once.
Right.
You can go buy Cabela's pants or whatever for I don't even know what they sell.
It's like Yeti coolers. Everybody laughed in the beginning, like, I am never spending $500 on a cooler, and I was lucky enough to be gifted one.
Yeah.
It's as strong as the day I got it,
Well,
and it's as durable as the day.
I bought one like
had
50.
I spent that money, I wouldn't be unhappy.
Yeah, I bought one. I same type of deal. I had some Cabela's points, and I was always complaining because every time I'd go on a trip, my cooler would tip over and it'd leak all over, and I'm adding ice every 5 minutes to it.
Yep.
And I'm like, I got some Cabela's points. I'm gonna go get a Yeti cooler. Guess what? Still have it.
Still got it.
Yeah, I used to buy a new cooler every year for 30,
The hinges
40.
break.
Yeah, hinges break.
Yep.
They leak. They didn't hold ice, and so this, so I'd spend.
And they weren't even sewn in America.
No, exactly. I mean, that's
That was my. What do they call that? That was my. Oh, there's a name for that.
Yeah.
Transition.
Transition. Yeah.
No,
Steve
that's
always
not
likes to
it.
talk about his transitions.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you like that transition?
That was a good transition. Yeah, Yetis are great, and they're not even made here.
No.
But Pike is.
No. Yeah, it is.
I could see it being sewn right behind me after we turned the recorder off.
Yep. Yep, I did hear a funny story about apparently a big cargo ship full of Yeti coolers, not the whole cargo, but a container, got knocked off a boat in heavy seas
Really?
in out in the Pacific.
Yeah.
And a lot of these coolers started washing up on beaches in, I think, in Alaska. You know,
Really?
from the I don't know, not the jet stream,
Well,
but
I mean,
whatever.
in Alaska, yeah, you get plastics from Japan,
Yeah.
and China, and Asia. Yeah.
They said that they'll be finding those coolers for 60 years.
No way.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
it'd be really cool if you walk on the beach and find a Yeti cooler. Hell yeah.
What is that up there? Now, when I'm up in Alaska, now I'm going to look for rectangular rocks.
Right.
It might be my next Yeti cooler.
It might be your next Yeti cooler. Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy stuff. Like, wow, that's amazing. That stuff just floats out there. It's disgusting that we put that much crap in the ocean. I mean,
But I can see it. If it was latched and locked, then it
just
can't
float.
sink.
Yeah, it won't
Can't
sink. Yeah. Yeah.
Real quick, let's go. So the new Tonga's top,
Yep.
full zip,
Full zip.
as opposed to quarter zip.
Yep.
The new game bag.
Yep, new game bag, the B2.
everybody
So
who-
for guys that have already had the Wingman vest, we actually do sell the game bag separately.
And
so
you
you
can
don't
swap it right
You
out.
can swap it right out. I mean,
Perfect.
it's you got to put the two ladder locks on in the back, and then you got to pull the belt out the side.
But you don't need a sewing machine.
You don't need a sewing machine. Nope, it's super
Did you
simple.
ever think of that when you did it, or was it easier to make it with a removable game vest?
No, it's way harder to make it that way. I mean,
Oh, is it?
our intention has always been to have a very modular system. I mean, I've got 50 other ideas I want to add out there too. I just don't have enough time or money to
Right.
add them all in there at this
Right.
particular juncture. But no, that's always been the idea. Is you can add whether you add we do a turkey vest at some point, or even maybe a fishing pack. I mean, there's
Sure.
a million sporting clay
So
shells.
the same process. It's-
Yes.
If you can use my pack frame, so to speak,
Absolutely.
you can change the back pouch onto a.
Exactly.
That makes
exactly.
sense.
So that's and then we've got the new Kiowa shirt, the snap Kiowa shirt. We
That's
changed
my
the Tonga's
new,
pants
that's
this
my new
year.
dress shirt.
Your new dress shirt.
New dress
we
shirt.
we added a second pocket to the Tonga's pants as people had asked for.
Okay.
So all of our pants now have two back pockets.
Yep. Because there are left-handed people.
There are left-handed people out there. But I've even found myself sometimes like, I want to put my phone in my left pocket, and I'm
not
like,
there.
it's not there. All right,
there.
so we've done that. We added some base layers this year. We've got still got the gloves. We got the socks back. We got a lot of new hats, a lot of new T-shirts.
Right. There's always some of that stuff coming out.
Yeah,
Right.
yep. We're always adding that stuff, and we're
In colors.
in new colors. Yep, and we'll have some really cool new stuff this spring to talk about.
So I'm not even going to be able to tease it out. All right, everybody, you heard it.
You can tease it a little bit. We won't go too far. I'm sure people will be able to guess.
No, but now you got me. That's like when Gunnar sent me a non-disclosure form to talk about a new product. I'm like, really? I got to sign the form before you let me, like, because they know I'm a blabbermouth. I'm
Right.
like, they got a new bumper,
Yeah.
which they already announced.
Yeah.
All right, Brent, thanks for having me over.
Hey, thanks for coming over. It's a good
leave with
time, and hopefully we'll get together and do a little hunting this fall.
let's try.
Yes.
We'll try. All right, talk to you.